Hello and welcome. My name is Sebastian, and what we do today is we will try to learn PostgreSQL as fast as possible. I will give you some small introduction and then we directly dive into the code. And I hope after watching this video, please stay along until the end. You will have some first glimpse, you have the basics, and you can impress your colleagues with your new foundational PostgreSQL skills, and I hope you enjoy. So first of all, before we begin, I want to bring to you a small introduction. Then we go to the first select statement, from, where, order by, limit, syntax, aggregate functions, and group by, and having. For now, when you are completely new to PostgreSQL, don't mind if you don't know right now what it is, no problem. We will go step by step. Before we begin, I want to say that most of the videos start with PowerPoints of 4, 5 slides, 10, and they want to give you some theoretical stuff. I want to make it as short as possible because we want to get hands-on, and that's the final solution for this course. Okay, great. So when we speak about PostgreSQL, so as you know, SQL, SQL language, there's also an SQL, MySQL language or SQL language. So there are different types. In the end, they nearly have the same syntax. We will today go to PostgreSQL. Okay, if you want to write code, there are different types of it or different interfaces you can use. Usually, I prepare this also. You use the pgadmin tool. So you go to pgadmin.org. There you go here on the left to download. And then if you have a Windows computer and a Mac or something else, there you can then download. You will be guided how to install pgadmin, and with this is actually one of the main interfaces how you can interact with your databases and write there the code. For me, in the beginning, I will write for you something here in this one compiler. onecompiler.com is a website where you can directly write code for free, and that's now also a simple solution. You can also install packages with your command. So when you go to your terminal, also there you can install PostgreSQL libraries and start there. But this is a little bit more for the developers, and we are here beginners. We just want to have an overview, so nothing to impress here someone with this. Okay, next one. Let us have a look actually in the beginning what is a table or why we actually use this stuff. So I prepared here a table. This is here now in Google Sheets, so don't wonder, no PostgreSQL, it's a Google Sheets. It can also be an Excel file, but I want to go with you through some basics, what is in a file. So in the beginning, first of all, you have here on top your column names. So in this way, you have your partition key, you have a customer ID, you have a name, country, product, category, a transaction date, and the amount paid. For each of these columns, you see here the data, and the data is here structured in rows. So each row, for instance, here we have row 10, there's the partition key 9, Michael Carpenter is the name, the category is cloud computing, and the amount paid is 768.07. Let's go another one here in line 17. Header Perry from France, ETL pipeline is the product, and the amount 790.11. So usually what you have is you have a table format. So it is a structured data, structured in this way that you have columns, and the data is in the columns and also into the rows. So each row represents one data entry. And why we use now query language? Yeah, mostly, as you can see here, this file, how much we have here, 2,000 entries, but that's actually compared with huge data warehouses, nothing, or huge data files, nothing. Usually you have so many data, especially now in where you can collect them easily as a company. So you have a huge amount of data, a huge amount where they come from, and you have to first structure them, like here in a table format, and then you want to query them. Query in this way that we want to make analysis, we want to check the data, we want to see for certain customers, certain amounts, we want to see for certain categories, how many transactions we had, we want to see, okay, which countries, where which products sold, at which time, and so on. This could be the usual use cases where you need the SQL language. And there can be many, many more. In the end, SQL or PostgreSQL, the language itself, it's relatively simple. There's a simple structure to it, and you can build up your knowledge step by step. So go with me through this video here and you have a basic understanding, and then afterwards, as more and more you will practice it, as more and more you get confident also using these coding or these syntax. That's actually it. Okay, I hope I hold it now shortly with all the introduction and with all the theoretical stuff. So we go into our syntax. Okay, then let's move this away here. Introduction we had. So we want to go at next to the select statement. So for this, when you write code, you do the select. And why we do the select, I come in a second to it. As you saw, and I will come back here to now my example, with the select you will first say which columns you want to have. Yeah, for instance here the name column, the country or the product. I in my case have here a brands table, and there you can see I have there a brand ID, a brand name and a country as the column. So we first want to select a column. In this case it could be brand ID. But this sometimes doesn't make sense to just have one column. We want to have 2 or 3 columns. So when we want to select now also from our brands table the brand name and the country, after the select statement we write the first column brand ID, then from the syntax it comes a comma, and then we say brand name, and then we want also the country. So you see, every time when you want to select or when you select something, you describe which columns you want to see. In this case, brand ID, brand name and country, separated by a comma. When you have now more columns, then this goes on. So when it would be now amount, or what could be after country, also area, area, or it could be also a table where you have not only the countries, you have also the continent, the city, and so on. Yeah, so please bear in mind, with the select statement you describe which columns you want to see. In our case, these 3 we want to have now. Okay, and now we are nearly on the halfway to our first query, because we have now to use from. And what is from? So from describes from which table we want to query. In your business case, it could be that you have many tables. So here comes then the table name, and in our case it is our brands table. As I showed you in the beginning, usually when you use PostgreSQL, it could be already that in your company there's already some tables which are there. So you have to find then the names of it, and this comes here in the from statement, from brands. Okay, so we have our select, we have our from, we know which columns we want, we know from which table it is. So let's the first time run our first query. So go here to run, and there we have it. So in our example table which we have here our brand ID, the first column which we selected, we have our brand name, this is the second column, and we have our country, and this all is from brands. So what you now actually see is when we scroll out here down, we have here all our entries, 49 entries in our table. This is my example table, but it could be that you have a lot of entries. So to write in this format could be in the beginning okay, but it could be also long when you have a lot of columns and a lot of data entries. So please bear in mind when you first want to query something that you look a little bit at the structure, how the table looks. And how you can do it, usually sometimes in the PostgreSQL, in the PG admin, you have like, you already see a little bit the structure of the tables, but when you don't know them, then it makes sense that you use one of these others, and this is the limit. Yeah, we jump now directly to a limit. So we say limit 10. And what does this mean? It comes first of all in the end. Limit 10 means that I don't want to see now all entries in my table. No, I just want to see 10. Just like this. There we go back. And here we see now, oops, a bit too much here. Yeah. That we have 1 to 10 entries. And this makes it more simple in the beginning, that you see first of all how your table looks like. Select, from, and limit 10. You can also say limit 3. How does it look? Okay. Brand ID, brand name, country, and the first 3 entries. What is now when you have a table with 40, 50 columns and you want to select them all? You can use, so you could write these all out here, comma, and then this one, but this is not efficient way. So what you could use is the star. This comes here, so we go back in our select statement and then say just star, select everything from brands table and limit it to 3. Then you would see have here the same result. Okay, there we were now in our brands table here, but we have also a second one, which is the products table. So let us vary here already a little bit. So select is the same, we want to see every column, but we change now the name of our table, and this we do in the from statement, products. And let's see. Okay, in our products table there are product ID, product names, and the category, and we have also a sales table in our example. So let's do this also. We want to have sales, sales ID, transaction ID, brand ID, and so on, product ID, and amount. And this structure, like a select, from, and with the limit, you can have a first overview. And this is what I actually wanted also to show you. With this first simple query, you see how the table looks like, what entries are there inside, and then you can work from it step by step. One important thing here is that you sometimes see that you have data in different types. So for instance, we have here sale ID, which is usually our primary key, which is a unique number. you have transaction dates, so this could be the date format. You have here a brand ID and a product ID. It's nearly the same, so again a number which is unique, and you have here an amount, also a number. This is important. And then when we go to products, there we have something else. We have here product names and category. These are strings. So every time when there's a text, string, and all others could be numbers. And this is important, especially then when you make later some aggregation functions. Aggregation functions work just with numbers, and string functions work just with strings. Okay, great. This is already your first steps. You're on the good way. Nice. As we have now this, we check now the select. Okay, we had this. And now we check what we else already have from. Okay, this we had also. And now comes where. What is this where? Where is just a filtering. So when we use a filtering, as you could see, sometimes it is the case that we want to have, just a certain amount of data shown, and for this we use the filter. And the filter we use in the where clause. We will take for this, for instance, our sales table. So let's write it here, run it. And we have here amount 1,500, 2,000, 1,200. So it could be now the case that we just want to have a filter where we just see all the amounts which are in a certain height. For instance, 2,000. How we do this? We first select everything from the table, and the where statement comes after the from. So where. And now we have to say what we want to filter. In this case, we say amount. This is the column name. Is larger than 2,000. This could be an easy syntax here. Could be also larger or equal to 2,000. Could be smaller. Something like this. In this case, we do larger. We take now the limit 3 away, as we really want to see now how many it is. And there you go. So we have now 9 entries found with different sales IDs where the amount is larger than 2,000. Let us manipulate here a little bit. So where the amount is 1,500. Even more, 23. And do we have also something which is smaller than 1,500? We have 16. So with this where statement, in a simple term, you can already filter your results. But filtering numbers is one way. There are many other ways. So we go now back to our products table. We want to see first what we could filter here. So we set the limit to 5. And we see here, we have here category NLP. Okay, so we could want to see all the data entries where the category is natural language processing, NLP. So how we do this? Select from our products table where clause, so where our filtering. Filtering we are doing the category, so the category column, category equal. And now it is important, as it is a string, you have to use these small, I don't know, apostrophes, I don't know how they name. In German we would say Anführungszeichen, NLP. And then we use also no limit, as we want to see everything. So actually what we now expect is all product ID, product names, where the category is NLP. Let's run it. And there we have it. So we have here overall in our example tables 6 entries, 6 different product names in the category NLP. Okay. I think there was also machine learning, yeah? Machine learning. Let's see. Yeah, there we have 8 products in the category machine learning. So you see here also different types. So the string, important is that you write it here in these small symbols. Okay, but what is now when you want to combine here something, yeah? Could be. So there we use the like or in function. I think it's the in function. So with this we could also use more filters. Let's run it. Great. So what we use now is in the where clause itself we use the small in function, and this shows us both, so machine learning and NLP. Okay, good. What could be also, we go back to our sales table. We will make one more example, sales table, and let's see if we find there also one more which we can use as a filter. We will use now 2. This would be great. So we say we want to know where amount is larger than 1,500 and amount is smaller than 2,000. Is this possible to write like this? Let's try it. Yes, it is. So what we said now, we want to filter all the results where the amount is larger 1,500 and in the second case it is still lower than 2,000. And all is here easy to manipulate. So let's see, we do 3,000. If it's larger, do we have here something? Nothing. 2,000. Yes, there comes something. 9 rows, 9 entries, where the amount on the certain brands and product IDs was larger than 2,000 and smaller than 4,000. Okay. To have here a little bit more, I would say, more advanced stuff. So as you saw, you can use the AND function. You can use the OR function. No. You can use the IN function. We already used this. And the like function. Okay, there are different types in the beginning how you can use them. And as we already saw the AND and the IN, we do one more. We do the OR function. So where amount is larger than 2,000 or amount is smaller than 3,000. Is this possible even? Weird. It shows us all nearly 40 rows. So this is also when you use them the OR. So this or this. But this is actually a syntax which nearly shows us everything. Okay, good. Where clause with some strings and some numbers. I hope you get familiar with it. It comes every time after the from, and we use the where clause to filter our results. Great. Let's see what we have more. Where. Okay. And next comes the order by. Interesting. So let's see again. We stay again in our sales table. Limit. And it could be that one day we want to see which amounts are lowest and highest. So we have to order the results. So as you saw, before you do the from statement, or after the from statement comes the where clause. And this we do now again. Where amount is larger than 2,500. We will do this without a limit. Let's run it. Interesting. 2,200. Yes, there we have something. Okay, better is probably 2,100 here as numbered. Okay, 7 entries we have, but still I don't have here an overview. What I want to know is actually, please sort me this amount, and this we can do with the order by. And the order by comes after the where clause. We write order by, and with this we bring a sorting. And now we can say order by amount, and then when you just say this, order by amount, we will run this. We will have an ascending order. So the first entry is now the lowest and the last entry the highest. So I could also write here ASC. When you want the opposite direction, you will write DSC, descending. Let's run this. There we have it. Now the highest number is up and the lowest is down. Okay, great. You make great progress. And now we want to manipulate here even a little bit further. So we say order by amount, but we want to see also, we will now leave this where clause. We want to see all. Great. Okay, we have now here 40 entries. And now we want not only to order by the amount, we want also to order by the brand ID. How we do this? Just write here order by amount, and then what we set, brand ID. We wanted to have brand ID ascending order. Do we have it now? Does it make sense? Even not so much. Could be probably better we take the transaction date that we see here a little bit better. Yes, okay. Sometimes a little bit weird that you sort in one direction or the other one, but you see that it is possible then to sort the results. First after the amount and then the transaction date. So let us check. Here we have a good result. So here's the amount equal. That's why it goes then into the other one. Transaction date ascending. So first the 30th of October and then the 11th of November. That's right. We have another example. It's the same, also sorted correctly. And do we have more? Here 900. Yes, also the same. So you can also use the order by for more than one column. Okay, order by ascending, descending. We do make great progress here. Let's go. Don't forget or don't lose the drive. Order by we had. The limit function I already showed you. So again, we say limit and then we say free. So just show me 3 entries of data. There it is. Limit 20. Okay, great. 20 rows just, and that's it. Okay, we have this also. Great. Now we come a little bit more to syntax. So as you saw, select from, then comes here the where, order by, limit. So this is the usual syntax, yeah. And please bear in mind when you are writing your code that it is a clean code, that you make a description also, that you can sometimes that is for somebody else also in a good overview, that you see what someone wants to write. And please take some of the normal syntax there in mind. So for instance, as you saw in the beginning, I wrote for here on my which table we are, in the sales table. So we have here our transaction date, and then I say just the amount I want. Let's run this. Just the where clause has to be going. Okay, so here we have now the transaction date and the amount, and here you see I set here the comma in the beginning. You can also set here the comma in the end. It depends on yours. What you don't have to, what it's not so nice is that you are writing here amount and like product ID, and then the next one and the next one and the next one, and then nobody can read this. Better it is when you really do it a little bit in a structured way, that also your colleague or you, in case by yourself, can read it later again. Product ID and amount. Okay. Let's put here the where back. Where and amount smaller than 1,500. There we go. Okay. Shortly something about the structure, or how actually then SQL reads it. That's something which could be here now a good topic. As we will see, you're already here progressing with your code. So first, when PostgreSQL code is running, there are certain type or sorting how the different functions are executed. So usually it starts with the from, so every time it looks from, then it looks where, so the filtering, then it selects something, and then it orders, and then in the end it limits. So that's important. So at first from, with the filtering, what I want to select, ordered by, and limit. Later, when you write more complicated queries, it is important that you have this in mind. Okay, good. Then aggregates. We are galloping here through, and this is really great. I mean, you already made some great progress in your first queries. So let's go back to our sales table, and you see often it is sales, what you have in your business. Often these are products, these are employees, these are managers, these are certain transaction dates, certain shops, yeah, and there you query the data. Okay, and we want now to do aggregate functions. So we will do this all here a little bit away. We want to see the product ID and the transaction date. And we want also to see the product ID we had, the brand ID from our sales table. Okay, good. Here we have all the data. And now we want to aggregate a little bit the functions. And here comes actually the analytical skills of PostgreSQL code really into action. Because with summarizations, with averages, we can do, or we can see also, for instance, on my product 1, product 2, product 5, how much amount or how much revenue I did. Or on this brand, how many revenue I did. So, or on this certain date, how many revenue. What was my highest revenue? What was my lowest revenue? What is the average? So these functions you use, and this is actually what we do now in the next step. Great. We have now here the amount. So, and what we want to know in the beginning is what was actually our total revenue. And this we do very simple. So we say sum amount. So sum from summarization our amount from sales. So what actually should happen now is that PostgreSQL summarize all these amounts to one number. Let's run it. 65,400. So this is our revenue. And now I will tell you one more. So this is now named, the column is now new, and it is named like the sum. So what we can do is also as total revenue. So we say we will make here a function. We will write as total revenue. So this is then the name of the new column. Let's run this. And here it is, total revenue. Good. Now we do the average. Let's do this. Average 1635. That's the AVG function. Parentheses, amount, parentheses, close. So then we say not the total revenue, we say here the average revenue. There we have it, average revenue and this. And now we have also the min. Minimum revenue was 900. So min revenue, when we want to name it like this. And the max. Max. So what is the highest revenue we had? 2,500. Okay. So you saw now that in the select statement I can already pass here a function which aggregates something, or which shows me the average or the min or the max. Okay. What happens now when we want to know for a certain product ID the revenue? So we want to know the sum of the amount for a certain product ID. At first we write in our select statement product ID, then we say comma, as it is here the second column, sum amount as total revenue per product ID. Let's run this. And here it says us column sales must appear in the group by clause. What is a group by? In simple terms, as you saw before, when we use the aggregate function alone, we can just do it. But when we have now the product ID, we have to say to PostgreSQL, please give me the result, also structured in a certain way. And this is, or group by in a certain way. And this is this group by function. No problem, we can simply solve this. So we go after our from statement and say here now group by. And group by we can only do on the columns which we don't put an aggregate on. So as we put the sum amount, the amount column, we have just here the product ID. Product ID. Let's run this. Now it must disappear. we have now per product ID our revenues, our total revenues. Great. As you can see, so with this group by, you can group it by certain amounts. But here, as you can see, it's already a little bit unstructured. So here this is not sorted. I have also a lot of results. So let's try to use what we have already learned. So we want to know, or we want to order by, and now it's important, you can use here the sum amount, descending order. So we want again to order by. And there we have it. So our total revenue, product ID 4 has 4,000 revenue, and then comes product ID 3. What is our lowest? Product ID 19. Okay, what else we could do? We could also, not just the product ID, we want also the transaction date. Let's use this. Again. And again, we get here the same. It must be a group by. And we already had here group by, product ID, and everything what is not in the aggregate function must be in the group by clause. So we can say here transaction ID, transaction date. And there we have it, also our transaction date. Okay. In the end, it doesn't make so much sense to aggregate them when you have, again, so much other columns. So please, we remove this. But as you now know, as more and more you put here other columns inside, they all have to appear in the group by clause. Good. Group by product ID, we still have it. And we have to delete it also here. Let's run it. Okay. But could it be possible that we not only want for each product the total, we want also the average? Is it possible? Yes, it is. So we say AVG amount. So first the comma, AVG amount as, and now average revenue. There we have it. And as you can see here, I will give you one more small code. Here you have here so many zeros, so you can do this also as a round. Open up the parentheses, then after this amount and its close parentheses, you say comma, and how many zeros after the comma you want to have here. In this case 2. So this will now cut these all away. And we have just these 2 remaining. Let's see. Yes, looks already nicer. You could also round it to 0. And then you have just the amount here. Also, you can do this for this sum amount if you want this. Okay. Let's see. We have now already covered a lot, and now we want to do the aggregate. We have, and now the last one, having. Having is something special. As you saw, we use the where clause for filtering, and we can use also the having clause for filtering, because when we want to, we will do now here something, manipulation. When we say now, go back to our sum, product ID and sum amount, group by product ID, we have this result here. Now we want to say where, we want to filter where our total revenue per product ID is larger than 2000. Is this possible? No. Near or not where? Where sum. It's not possible. Because we have to use for this aggregate function, instead the where, we have to use the having clause. See if it's running. Yes, it's running. Great. So as you can see now, we have here all the total revenues of the product IDs which are larger than 2000. Let's see if we can aggregate this a little bit higher to 2500 or 3500. There we go. So having we use as a filter in case we have aggregate functions like sum, average, minimum or maximum. Okay, but we want to use now our where clause again, where it comes, where product ID is equal to 1. So let's see if our product ID 1 has a higher amount than 3500 summarized in total, and we want just to see this product ID 1. There we have it. Okay. We already saw that we can say in. With the in function, we can say, okay, for product ID 1, for product ID 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these 5 product IDs, we want to have the aggregate function, so how much revenue they have, but please show me just the revenue when this is over 3500. One we already had. Let's see if the other ones achieve it. Yes. Product ID 3 and product ID 5 and product ID 4, but product ID 2 didn't have. Let's see why. That's why we clean here the having clause. Product ID 2 had just 2650. So a lot of stuff we already had here. We had the select statement, we had the from statement, we had the where clause. The where clause uses also the in function. We group by, we can say also order by, product ID, run it, great. And what we also can say, having some amount is larger than 3500. And this is incorrect. Order by comes here at last. There it is. Okay. Great syntax, and you see already how much you progressed here within this small amount of time. So we selected here something which we want, some columns, in this case product ID. We made an aggregate function. We made from our table, we say where it was, use it as a filter. We could group by, we know group by, we are using when aggregate functions there are. We are using the having clause when we want to filter in aggregate functions. We want to order by, and that's actually already great things. So when you want to continue like this, I want to strongly recommend to you some of my other playlists. I have a beginner segment again with some single videos, an intermediate one, and also a professional one. I hope you really like this small introduction. I wanted to keep it simple and I wanted to keep it in hands-on. I hope you like this, and please like and subscribe. I will see you for the next time, for the next videos, and stay tuned and happy coding. Have a nice day. Bye.